Welcome to Home Remodeler Toolbox, the podcast dedicated to empowering remodelers and builders to build and grow successful businesses. Join your host, Bob Vance, founder of Home Remodeler SEO, as he brings you industry insights and strategies that will help you build a thriving business, no matter what level you're at in your business. Whether you're a thriving multi-million-dollar business or you're working on building your business from the foundation up, this podcast is your go-to source for industry secrets and actionable strategies that you can implement in your business to get to that next level. So, turn on, tune in, and let's help you build your business foundation one building block at a time.
Welcome to another episode of the Home Remodeler Toolbox Podcast. Today's guest, Jonathan Mast, is a true pioneer in the world of artificial intelligence and digital strategy. Since 1995, Jonathan has been leading the charge in blending smart marketing with emerging technologies. Over the past 2 years, he's become a go-to authority on AI prompting and strategy, helping thousands of entrepreneurs and business owners harness the power of AI to streamline operations, boost profits, and work smarter, not harder. He's the founder of Whitebeard Strategies, a platform dedicated to helping professionals simplify and implement AI in practical ways. With a global audience of over 400,000 followers, Jonathan is on a mission to make AI approachable, actionable, and incredibly effective for small businesses, especially home improvement professionals. If you've been wondering how AI fits into your remodeling business, or if you're already dabbling and want to scale your success, this episode is packed with the tools, tips, and real-world applications you've been looking for. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Home Remodeler Toolbox Podcast. Jonathan, thanks for being on the show today. Happy to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. And as you know, I love chatting about AI, so I'm looking forward to a great conversation.
Awesome. Yeah, I think these are going to be some great insights for the remodeling construction industry. I think we tend to be a little behind on technology, and so I think this is really going to help move some companies forward. Just give them some ideas to think about how can they use AI in their business. So I think this should be a great talk.
Absolutely. Where should we start?
Well, first let's just start with how you started your company. How did you get ahead on the AI bandwagon, if you will, and Whitebeard Strategies? How'd you come up with that name? I'm kind of perplexed on that one.
Well, I say let's start for our viewers that are not maybe watching but listening. I have no idea where I came up with that white beard. If you're not watching, you can't see I have a long white beard. It's interesting. After years of being in business and trying not to be the brand, actually being very purposeful about saying I didn't want to be the brand. I wanted to create an agency. That's my background. And I wanted an agency that we could sell and walk away from. So I didn't want to be the brand. I'm now in my mid-50s and decided it was time to leave the agency world. And I'm like, you know what? I know a lot of people that are the brand that are doing really well. What the heck? Let's be the brand. And so I decided to do that. I made the pivot from agency to AI, though, because when ChatGPT added the interface in late 2022, in November of 22, and basically made it easy for all of us to get access to this technology, I very quickly, after I got over the fact that I thought it was just another chatbot tool, I remember literally being on a coaching call. We were part of the same mastermind, and they're talking about it. I'm like, oh, this is just another, like chat pop-up on my website, big deal. And then I started realizing what it was and started using it. And I was like, oh my goodness, the amount of productivity that I was able to gain it was mind blowing to me. But I also noticed that my team didn't have that same perspective. My team was nervous about it. They're like, uh-oh, it's going to take my job. This is going to cost me. This is going to hurt me. I don't like that. And so I decided I wanted to focus on is not just teaching other business leaders, where I think that's important because, again, when we can save time, that's great, but also teaching our teams how to use it. Because even if we've got a small team of, say, 5 or 10 people, if I can teach each one of those individuals to save 30 minutes a day, every day by using AI, if I've got 10 employees, that just means I just bought 5 more man hours every day, 50 hours a week. I just got a free employee. by using AI for $20 a month. That I thought was really cool.
That's a really, really good insight. We're always talking about how to use AI in our company for efficiency's sake, but I never really put it in that perspective. When you add those hours up over a week, you've got a new employee on board and a pretty smart one at that.
Well, and saving 30 minutes, as you know, is really easy to do. This is not a hard lift to be able to pull that together. And so that, to me, just made it super exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to AI and productivity and efficiency, what are some of the hacks that maybe some remodeling business owners, builders out there, what are some of the hacks that they could use that might help them improve the efficiency in their company and their operations?
I think one of the easiest ones that comes to mind is just anything that's communications related. We're dealing with remodeling. That means there's change orders, there's things that didn't go right, there's products the client wanted that weren't available. We just upgraded the kitchen in our home, and I realized it didn't take very long to get down that path. And you know what? The knobs that we wanted, those aren't available, and at least they didn't have as many as we wanted. So what do we want to change? None of those communications are fun. They're not bad, but I've got to stop what I'm doing. I've got to stop what I'm focusing on. I got to figure out, how do I communicate this to the client in a way that they're going to understand where I'm coming from, that it's going to make sense, it's going to play out. And ultimately, it's an interruption in your day. And that means it's not just a 30-second ordeal. It's oftentimes 15, 20, 30 minutes, because I've got to think it out. I've got to gather the facts. I've got to go through that. Now, with ChatGPT or any of the other primary AI models out there, Bob, all I need to do is teach it a little bit about who my business is. And then based upon that, tell it my problem. And I can literally say, hey, we're updating the kitchen here. The cabinet knobs that the client wanted, we can't get enough of. They're out of stock. They're not due to be back in anytime soon. So we're recommending we replace them with this one. I need you to craft me an email to explain that to the client and get them to approve, and write it in a way that they're going to think I'm providing them with a service that they're happy about. So it took me, 20 seconds to write that or to say it. And I would probably just say it into my phone. And ChatGPT is going to turn around and write me an email that probably needs less than 5 words edited on, and I'm going to be able to send it to that client. All of that communication now can be done in minutes instead of many minutes. We're not talking about changing, a 15-minute email into a 15-second email, but we are talking about taking that 15-minute email and turning it into a 2-minute email. And that's a big deal. I need to text somebody with an update and I'm not sure what to say. Literally, again, pick up my phone. I love the voice mode, and literally say to ChatGPT, I need to text a client that we've got a problem. The crew out front just hit an electric wire, and we need an electrician to come in, so they're not going to have power tonight in the house. I'm picking something weird. Well, it's not a fun call to make. AI can help you do that and write it in a way that makes sure that they feel the best about what you're doing across the board for them. And that's just one of many areas. Scheduling, planning, figuring out what, based upon the products that we've got and the jobs that we've got, where do we need to be? What crews need to be on what locations? All of those things can be done with AI, not to replace necessarily your scheduler, but to help your scheduler get their job done in half the time they're doing it today, probably with a higher level of accuracy. And that's where I think things get super exciting, when we start looking at things from that perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you mentioned the communication thing, because I always, I sit down and I overthink emails that I have to write. Recently, we had to, terminate an employee. Just their productivity and their commitment to work was just not up to our standard. And I think they were distracted, had other things going on. So, nothing personal against them. But I thought, oh my God, I'm going to sit here for half an hour, 45 minutes trying to craft the perfect email and, cross my T's, dot my I's. And instead I went, you know what, let's just see what ChatGPT says. And, literally a minute later, I had a perfect response, a perfect email to send. And I thought, I need to start doing this more. And I'm a marketing guy. I'm all in, on AI. And yet I'm just starting to use it more for those communications.
Well, that's such a great example. I mean, anything HR related, most anything legal related, we've all got things that we have to reach out to our attorneys for, and we all cringe because attorneys get paid way too much money.
Yeah.
Nothing against it. They studied a lot. I get it. But now imagine being able to use ChatGPT to create and prep the things for your attorney. So instead of him spending 6 hours on you, he spends an hour. Well, if you're like my attorney and they charge $400 an hour or thereabouts, I don't know exactly where he's at, thankfully, but if I cut that 6 hour bill down to 1 hour, I just saved myself $2,000 by spending 20 minutes with ChatGPT beforehand. And that's a big deal. And that's realistic type of savings that we can implement in areas like that. Maybe we've got to deal with a code inspector who is not fun. We've all had that before. There's an inspector and they're just bound and determined they're going to make our life miserable. Well, instead of responding the way we want, how about we have ChatGPT help us respond in a way that's going to appeal to that code inspector, that's going to say the right words to get them to give us the permit so we can do what we want to do. Again, ChatGPT can do all of that in minutes, and that reduces stress on us as a business owner, and that means life is better, and it also helps us get more stuff done.
Right. The efficiency alone is enough of a reason, but then you start thinking about taking stress out of your life and just making things easier in general for you and all your employees, your customers, your vendors you might work with, everyone.
Yeah, precisely. You open a box of flooring for the kitchen remodel you're doing and you find out it's the wrong flooring. Okay, maybe we can't just go back because we bought it in bulk. Who knows? How do I deal with that problem? Maybe I'm literally just going to brainstorm with ChatGPT and go, here's my problem. What do I do? Or maybe best you as the owner know how to do it, but maybe your guys on site don't. Well, now they can use ChatGPT and they can go, okay, here's the problem. Here's the information. What do we do? And instead of bugging you and going, hey, Bob, got a problem. I need you to fix it. They can actually fix the problem before and go, hey, Bob, we got a problem. Here's the solution. Are you good with it? That's a whole lot better conversation to have than you fix this for me. I'll wait.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that example because I have that rule in our company. I made it for myself, but I make everyone else do it too, is if you have a question that you have to ask a coworker, especially me, because I just hate to be, wasting time.
Sure.
You can't just ask me a question. You have to ask me a question and bring me a solution or maybe two or three solutions and tell me which is the best solution. And with ChatGPT, you can just, brainstorm those solutions with AI and then have that answer. And then all I have to do is just say yes or no. Yep. That sounds great. Great job.
Exactly. And that makes it practical and applicable. And again, you're not only just saving your time, but you're saving your team's time. We all end up paying our crews to sit around and do nothing because they're waiting on something. What about if we could minimize that and make them more productive and make sure you're never going to get rid of all of that downtime, but imagine if we could get rid of half of it. Well, that could be massive to your bottom line, as well as massive to the reduction in overtime that you've got to pay, because you know what? We've got people coming home from vacation and we said we're going to be done and we're not done. A lot of that stuff can be minimized. Those hassles can be minimized by using AI as a consultant, by using it as an advisor, by using it to help you write communications, all of those things, planning, scheduling, you name it, all of that type of stuff, it can be really effective for.
Yeah, absolutely. Being in the remodeling industry, having done it myself, having developed $1 million custom homes, and now being an expert in digital marketing for the remodeling and construction industry, what I've noticed is, I guess, a lack of uptake for remodelers and builders to really get into this, to really adopt it. What are some of the first steps or suggestions that you would have for a builder or remodeling company owner to just embrace this and realize that AI is not a passing fad? It is here to stay. It's going to take over the world. We could have Skynet at some point in time. But how do you suggest that they approach AI, and what are some of the initial ways that they can start using it?
I think, one of the biggest things when they're starting off, Bob, is that they need to understand now is not the time to get everything done immediately. In other words, we don't have to go from AI newbie to AI proficient in 1 week or one day. It doesn't need to happen. if we can take steps along the way, the same way that I might train a new, specialist or craftsman to do something, your cabinet makers that you deal with as a kitchen remodeling, they didn't hire somebody off the street and day 2, they had a professional craftsman making cabinets. They generally worked for years to learn a craft, to learn the skills, to learn what they needed to do in order to be that guy that everybody reaches out to. With AI, it's really the same thing. Take incremental steps, focus on improving every week, using it to do one more thing every day or one more thing every week, and having your team do the same thing. Because one of the things that's most exciting for me as a business owner is actually watching my team go, oh, that's cool. Oh, wow, that's, I don't really love doing all this scheduling stuff. And with AI, I was able to find out I could do that in a third the time. Now I'm giddy to find out what are the other things I can be using AI to do in a third the time. And that's the type of thing I think that can make so much difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that right now, like all I hear about from all the remodeling owners, company owners that I talk to across the country, really about the only thing they're using it for is content. And that's great. Like you said, you don't have to go from newbie to proficient to expert over a couple weeks. But in terms of creating content, one of the biggest things that I think that they're doing wrong is the inputs. Basically that saying of garbage in, garbage out. They're
Yes.
given such poor inputs that the output is just garbage, and those pages aren't getting indexed by Google, so they're really not doing any good for you. So how would you recommend that they go about creating content with AI that where they can get a much better output, much more relevant, much more readable and interesting for their customer base?
Well, a couple of things you mentioned. I think it's important to understand that, while AI is very smart and it's been trained to do a lot of things, this is like going on to a freelancer site like Fiverr, hiring somebody we've never met before, telling them nothing about our business and saying, hey, can you write social media posts for me? I happen to be in the kitchen remodeling business. The answer is going to be, sure, I can write you posts. Are those posts going to be good? No, probably not. Are they going to be relevant to your audience? Probably not, because they're not going to know anything about you or what you do. And AI is really the exact same thing. It doesn't know anything about you. You need to teach it. And we talk about training the AI. It's really not as complicated as we think. But it does absolutely mean that we need to train the AI about our company. What are the products that you sell? What brands do you recommend? What are some of the awards you've won? What type of clients do you work with? What area do you work in? I happen to be in Michigan right now, and I live in Alabama normally, but we're up here for the summer. If I'm a kitchen remodeler and that happens and I get a lead in Michigan when I'm in Alabama, that doesn't do me any good. I'm not likely going to make that drive for that project. So it needs to know location. Same thing, if I've got particular brands that we like to use and companies that we use or distributors, I need to know that, and I need to teach that to AI. By the way, it's really easy because it's a very fast learner. I can literally give it the distributor catalog and it now knows all that stuff. But we need to train it on that so that now when we say, I need to write a social media post or I need to write an email or whatever the case it is, it knows who our target audience is, what their relevant income level is, where they probably live and what zip codes. And by the way, that will tell them a lot of information that ChatGPT has already about them. And it will be able to target and write in a way that provides helpful, useful content to your audience. And my belief is, Bob, and not everybody agrees with me, but nobody cares whether AI writes your content or somebody from Pakistan writes your content or you write your content. What they do care about is it applicable to them? And if the content's applicable and helpful to them, they never even give a second thought to where it came from. They simply are happy. And now they're going, oh, look, Bob's Kitchen Remodeling keeps posting all this really cool stuff. When it's time to remodel my kitchen, who am I calling? I'm calling Bob.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And a lot of the AI models out there, they have custom GBTs, right? Like ChatGPT, you can create a custom one that starts to know you, who you are, what you're about, the tone of voice you use, and everything about you, right?
All of the above, yeah, and that's important. If you as an owner are the spokesperson for your company, you're the one that goes out on the sales calls and you're out selling, and you want to make sure you reflect your tone and style. Then you need to let ChatGPT know what that is. The simplest way to do that, if you've ever taken a personality test, just share that result with ChatGPT, and it will know a ton about how you are. It may not be perfect, but it will now not sound like the generic ChatGPT. It's going to sound like somebody with your personality. I happen to be on the Myers-Briggs, what's called an ENTP. I don't know what it means, but I do know when I go to ChatGPT and I tell it, write in the style of an ENTP, I go, man, that sounds like me. And anybody can do that. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. That's a great insight. I think, especially newbies, you're not thinking at that level. You're thinking, hey, write me an article on kitchen remodeling. Well, I mean, that could be anything. But when you start saying, This is who I am, this is my personality, this is my company, these are the products we offer, this is where we're located, and this is my ideal customer, now write me that article. It's going to be completely night and day difference in the output that you get, the article that it spits out for you.
Well, and again, it's going to be more applicable to what's happening. If you've got, again, different things that you specialize in, maybe we want to talk and share just basic educational stuff. Remember, a lot of your clients don't know the same things you know. You're an expert at kitchen remodeling, so you know things that they don't. Explain to them what a quiet close or a soft close cabinet is. And I'm probably saying it wrong because I'm not in the business. Explain the difference between quartz and granite, and Formica or whatever, or laminate or whatever those are, and why to use those. If you're using laminate, or maybe others, I know from being at the Lowe's before, they have different noses that they put on the corners. So, explain what those are. Now, you may go, my clients don't need that. Well, yes, they probably do, because they're not experts like you are. And if your clients don't, the one that does need it is Google and the search engines. Because one of the things that at least I believe is changing, and Bob, you're a marketing expert, I'm not, so you may want to correct me, but we're moving away from a time when I can be a kitchen remodeler in Jacksonville, Florida, and I can just be optimized for that one phrase, kitchen remodeler in Jacksonville, Florida. Because the search engines are now looking at our websites and trying to determine what do we know about a topic. And one article is not going to cut it anymore. And if it is now, it won't cut it very long in the future. We need to be talking about all kinds of things that relate to kitchen remodeling. That includes cabinets and floorings and knobs and and countertops and backsplashes and appliances and you name it, stuff I'm probably missing, lighting, and all of that in the context of kitchen remodeling. And when we do that and we write about that, we share case studies, we share job site photos, we share projects, we share our knowledge, we share education, not sales, but we share and educate. You will become, as that kitchen remodeler in Jacksonville, Florida, or any other city in the United States, the go-to expert that starts showing up on social media, that starts showing up in searches, that starts showing up in ChatGPT searches and everything else. You don't need to be special. You simply need to have the relevant content out there. And then what happens is your phone starts ringing and you go, well, can I ask why you called us? Well, because everywhere I go online, I see your name, Bob.
Yeah.
Every time I look up anything about kitchen remodeling, I see an article by you. Every time I'm on Facebook and I see videos pop up and tips and tricks or testimonials or whatever, notice these are not sales things. These are just educational, and they're establishing your credibility. And by the way, AI can help you create all of this content in a tone that reflects you, like we just talked about. And that means that you can absolutely dominate your competition, because most of them aren't going to take the time to do that. And if you get stuck, and some people do, then hire an expert in the marketing field, because you're an expert in kitchen remodeling. You can do okay in the marketing with AI, but now imagine how AI in the hands of a true marketer can do to deliver literally exponential results for you.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that, because I was talking to a buddy a couple of weeks ago, and he said, with all this AI, he's like, aren't you worried about the future of your agency, your marketing agency? Like, it's just going to get taken over by AI. And I told him there's not 0.01% of me that is worried about it, because there has to be an expert behind all the efforts that are made. Like, you, as a remodeler, as a builder, could you, produce content on your own? Sure. Is it going to be as good as what we're going to to probably produce? No, I don't think so. Are you going to have all those other skills and all the knowledge and keep up with everything that AI keeps putting out there and keeps changing and evolving? There's just so much that in a marketing agency can do for you. But just getting started on your own is just, take that first step.
Absolutely.
For someone like that is afraid to take that first step, like what like example or analogy or something would you say, like, just to get them moving forward, to not ignore this, to not bypass this opportunity?
Every single remodeler out there has clients they haven't talked to recently enough. I don't care when that is. If you do nothing else, go to ChatGPT, give it your website, tell it, here's who we are, go take a look at my website. If you don't have a website, spend 10 minutes and have it interview you. Literally ask ChatGPT, interview me. I'm a kitchen remodeler and I need you to be able to create content for my audience. I need you to interview me and ask me questions until you're ready to do so. It'll ask you this whole series of questions. It'll remember that. And now you can reach out to every one of those clients and say, I need to reach out to all my existing clients, asking them for referrals. Who do they know? Which of their friends are getting sick of the kitchen that they want a kitchen that looks like we did for you? And let's put together a bonus that anybody you refer me to that buys a kitchen from us, I'll pay you $500 and pick. I don't know if that's a good, but pick something. You can have that discussion with ChatGPT. ChatGPT can write you that email. ChatGPT can even write you the letter that you want to send, the postcard you want to send, everything, and put it all together. And you now can send that campaign out. And how many new jobs would you need to get to make up for that maybe hour that you'd spend doing this? And maybe a few $100s in postage if you sent out stuff. I mean, it may not be optimal, but it would certainly be better than doing nothing. And unfortunately, most of us in business are busy, and that's not bad. But because we're busy, it's unfortunate. We don't do some of those things that we should. We don't have those 27 touches that the experts tell us we need with our clients every year, just so they don't forget us.
Right. Yeah, I was just talking to someone about that yesterday. They were like, doesn't it take like 5 touches, in follow up? And I said, well, depending on what you read, it's 7 to 12. Another study showed 21. Another study is up to 35 touches, But the moral of the story is it's going to take at least, 10 or 12 touches to really have good follow up. And these owners that I talked to, co-owners of a company yesterday, they said they had a list of like 700 customers and contacts that they just hadn't reached out to lately. Wow. And I thought, wow,
that's just a gold mine sitting there to be mined.
Absolutely, gold mine right there. Not everyone's going to come back for their second kitchen remodel, but maybe now it's time for a bathroom remodel or an addition, or maybe they heard their neighbor the other day talking about it. Now your top of mind awareness, next conversation they have with that neighbor, now they're referring to you, and like you said, maybe they're getting that $500 referral bonus.
Exactly. And again, that's just one in many ways. I mean, Bob, you and I could probably talk for the next 4 hours about different ways that people could use that. And I want to encourage you to just try. It's not going to bite. It's not going to come back to you and go, oh, that's bad. Just try. The worst thing that you do is go, I didn't like it. That's the worst thing that happens. And in reality, especially if you're willing to have a conversation with it and not just treat it like a slot machine that I tried it once and I didn't get what I wanted, have that conversation, you're going to get some great results. Being a business owner can be very lonely. Maybe maybe you need to talk to somebody and you're like, I'm not going to talk to a shrink. I'm not going to hire a coach. I just need to talk through some ideas with somebody. Go to ChatGPT and say, I own a kitchen remodeling company, and as the owner, I'm kind of lonely and I need an expert to talk to guide me through this decision. Maybe it's a vendor dispute or whatever. And ChatGPT can function in that capacity to give you guidance and give you that opportunity to have a sounding block and work back. And here's the cool thing. I don't know where my phone went. Here it is. I can literally do that on my phone while I'm driving between jobs or between the office and home tonight. I don't have to go set aside a bunch of time, go drive somewhere special. I literally can open up ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, you name it, on my phone, any of those, and just begin by explaining it. And if you're like me, don't type. All of our phones have a little microphone on them. So if you open up ChatGPT, you click in the box, a little microphone comes up. Click on it, and now you can talk. That means you don't have to wait for it to respond back, but you can talk to it. And I find, at least as an entrepreneur, when I talk, I give it a lot more data that's relevant, and it's a lot easier than trying to think and type.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just spill everything out as fast as it's hitting your brain, as opposed to typing where everything starts getting truncated and then you miss things and you're tired of typing, or your red lights turned green now. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. You mentioned some of the different AI platforms out there. We all know ChatGPT. Some people have heard of Grok. I see that a lot on X as I'm on that platform, getting news every day. But Claude's out there, Gemini. Can you go through some of the platforms and maybe talk about the differences? Are there differences? Are there ones that are better than the others for a remodeling company owner to use one over the other?
That's it's a great question, and I'm glad you asked. Yes, the models are a little bit different, but I'm going to kind of say it's like your tool choices. So my guess is every remodeler out there has got their favorite brand of tool or their favorite brand for specific tools that they use. If not, they've probably got their favorite brand of vehicle. Some people are Ford, some people are Chevy, some people drive Honda, some drive Toyotas. We all got our favorites. AI models are not a lot different than that. If we're using an AI model, it's like the difference between driving to the job site and walking to the job site. Not having AI is like walking. That's hard. We got to carry a lot of crap. How are we going to get it all there? It's going to take a long time. Or using AI, it's like having a brand new pickup truck. And now we can get there quickly. We can carry all of our stuff. And it really doesn't matter at that point, whether you're driving a Chevy, a Dodge, a Ford, a Toyota, or any other Nissan, you name it, type of pickup. It doesn't matter because it all beats the heck out of walking. And That's where I really want to encourage people to start. Whatever they have available is the best one to get started with. Now, as you become proficient, yes, you're going to find there's different things. I really like Claude for writing. So when I'm writing client letters and things like that, I often use Claude. When I'm doing deep research, which is like literally having your personal assistant do deep research into topics for you, I like Gemini. It seems to work really well from Google. I absolutely love custom GPTs, which are trained models that I can train with my data for ChatGPT. And yes, those work better on ChatGPT. So I've got my favorites. But at the end of the day, I could use Grok. And by the way, Grok is great if you just want more raw, less filtered responses. It's really good for that. The other thing that's really good at is it's the only model that actually scans and has Twitter data. So if you're looking for trend data and things like that, and Twitter is a great place to grab that. I know they call it X now. I still call it Twitter. Grok has that access and has that data, which can be really valuable to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I use it a lot because I'm always on X, and I use it a lot for investing. Just, what stocks, what ETFs out there are performing the best dividends, the most frequent dividends, weekly, monthly, just all kinds of investing stuff. And Grok just scans everything that's on X and everything that all the investors that I follow are talking about. And then boom, spits out all these answers. And I've got more investment knowledge in one day of chatting with Grok than I've gotten in years, just trying to find it on Google or reading books or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you're looking at a new vendor and you want to do some research on that vendor and find out, of course, the vendor is never going to tell you about anything bad. So are there complaints? Is there a, you name the vendor sucks.com website out there? I mean, all kinds of things that you could use AI and deep research to help you find that. You can go into Grok and, it's one of the things I love about it. It's tell me about any negative comments about this company. Well, you're going to be able to see everything that comes up, or at least most of what comes up, and give you that data. If you're looking at a vendor and there's not much, great. If you're looking at a vendor and that's all you can find, okay, maybe I can't trust the sales rep and I've got to do a little more digging before I decide I want to, attach to that horse.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, one question I'll preface with a story is, way back in I think it was in the 90s, I had a friend that was really proud of never getting a cell phone and just really wanted to be a holdout. And I always thought it was the most ridiculous thing ever. It's like, I'm just going to stay in a buggy in a cart instead of, upgrade to the Model T back in the day. Is there any reason why a business owner would not use AI to make their business more effective, more efficient, make their life easier? Is there any non-use case for that?
I'm sure somebody can think of one, although I cannot think what it would be. I have no idea what it would be. I mean, literally, I can't imagine why you wouldn't want to use that because, here's, I guess, the real thing. Let's say you don't want to use it. Okay, no problem. How do you feel about your competition using it, knowing they're going to have that leg up on you? It will make a difference in what they're capable of doing, and that can be problematic for you. So how are you going to deal with that? What are you going to do in order to make sure that that works the way that you need it to, how are you going to get that benefit? If you're comfortable with your competition driving new vans and you carrying everything by hand, that's a great decision. You can absolutely choose to do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're not comfortable with that, then I can't imagine why you wouldn't want to work with AI.
Right. The work smarter versus work harder. You're going to watch your competition work smarter while you just work harder, carrying your tools to the job site instead of driving.
Yeah, I just can't see a good reason to do that. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there, I've got a family member that still has a flip phone and he probably will never change away from that flip phone. That's just his perspective. Okay, no problem. That he doesn't happen to be a business owner either. He has more latitude to do that because he doesn't ever need to text anybody. And if he does, it's only a couple of letters because he's literally pressing the 3 key 4 times in order to get to the letter C. For him at his age, that's fine. But for a business owner to do that, why would you want to make it so difficult? I mean, I'm right now we're up in Michigan and we're in an Amish community and they've got some great craftsmen up here. But
wow.
Even the Amish community up here, they're using pneumatic nailers and they're using things. Now they're running them off of air compressors instead of running them off of electricity because that fits with their ideology. But even they, with the craftsmen that they are and the beliefs they have, they're still using modern day tools. I literally went and bought a shed from one a couple of years ago, and they have an entire process where they're making sheds, and they have all these brand new DeWalt cordless tools. And I'm like, hang on, I thought you guys didn't use electricity. He goes, no. He's just, we don't plug into the grid. See the solar panels on the top? They charge our batteries, and we use these power tools all day long. So even and he says, how long it would take me to do this? This is the Amish guy, by the way, with the longer beard than I've got and no mustache and riding a horse. You know how long it would take me to build this shed if I didn't have these tools? And I'm like, yeah, a long time. So, I mean, and I'm not trying to be off color, but if an Amish businessman can figure out a way to stay within his beliefs and use technology, certainly I believe that most of us can take a look and say, hey, there's a reason why the technology adds value, like you said, to work smarter, not harder, to ultimately bring more value to us, to our team, and to our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that example too, because we all think of the Amish as just driving buggies and hammer and nail and everything, but they're, a hammer and nail versus a pneumatic nailer. Like you said, the worst pneumatic nailer on the market is going to be better than hammering every single nail. So exactly. if they can adopt that technology, certainly some really savvy business owners that we work with and others that we don't work with, they're going to be able to do that too and realize that this is the best decision for the future of their company.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. As far as AI and the future goes, trends, I'm of the belief that AI is going to take over the world. Like this is an invention, if you will, that is right up there with the light bulb, in my opinion. I mean, the effects and the ramifications of AI is profound, from good outcomes, but could be some Skynet, Terminator type outcomes too, where AI won't shut itself down, and so there's things like that. But all that sci-fi stuff aside, where do you see AI going in terms of how it can help small businesses?
Well, I'll readily admit I'm not in the fear mongering category at all. I don't think we're anywhere near Skynet, and I don't think we will be in my lifetime or my kids' lifetime. I don't believe that. There's always people that are going to claim that to be true. When they come to get me, I guess I'll say I was wrong. But for small businesses, where I see AI being such a tremendous tool is that, one, small businesses are nimble, and we have the ability to do things faster than large companies. That means that we can take advantage of some of these tools faster. And the really cool thing is that means that we can, in many times, actually do things better than they can, because we can take advantage of some of these tools. AI, in my mind, Bob, is probably one of the most profound technological changes that anybody that's alive today will probably see. The printing press came out. There were people that told us that was going to be the end of civilization. The steam engine came out. They told it was going to be the end of work as we know it. The automobile and the internal combustion engine came out. Oh my gosh, it was going to change who we were. So it was going to ruin society. Then we had the PC and the internet. We could go on and on. AI, in my mind, is absolutely as monumental as the internal combustion or the steam engine was. It's going to change things in ways that we can't even imagine right now. Literally, we can't imagine or don't know of the positions, the jobs that may be available, even at 6 months to a year from now, because we've never had the technology to be able to do these things. One of the things that gets me excited, and I'll take a quick segue, I hope you don't mind, is think of it in terms of education. Most of us sat through a classroom, and we sat in a classroom of 20 to 30 kids, and we all learned the exact same thing the exact same way. Imagine for just a moment, this is the type of monumental shift I see happening, where the teacher has a lesson they're teaching us about how to do algebra. But now, because I'm into motorcycles, when it comes to teaching Jonathan algebra, the AI translates that entire lesson plan into stuff that relates to motorcycles so that I care. And we start talking about all kinds of things related to algebra and geometry that relate to motorcycles so that I'm interested. And Bob, maybe you say, you know what? No, I'm actually really interested in construction. So now it changes everything to learn to algebra in the context of what you want. And the beauty is it does it like that. So no longer does everybody need to learn in the exact same manner. That's something we literally 2 years ago couldn't have even thought about. But yet I believe will be a reality by the end of next year. And that's just an example of the type of things that I think we're going to see shifts that we can't even imagine. Here's the good news. Every major technological shift we've talked about, from the printing press on up, has caused more opportunity and created more opportunity than it has hardship. Will there be some people that are replaced by AI and robots? Yes, there absolutely will. But there will be exponentially more opportunities that become available if you're willing to embrace it. And that, I think, is what's so exciting for us just as a society in general, and especially for us as small business people, because we as small business people are likely to see those opportunities faster and be able to act on them faster than anybody else. And, I think, one of the things they talk about is the first billion-dollar company with one employee they think is around the corner. I agree with them. I think that probably is true. May not be in kitchen remodeling, but I absolutely believe it's going to be true. But just imagine how you, as a kitchen remodeling company, if you could do 4 times more jobs because your scheduling and your efficiencies were where they were at and your marketing was where it's at. Imagine what that could mean to you as an organization. AIs are not going to replace you as a kitchen remodeler, period, end of story. It may replace
Right.
certain tasks that you do, but it's not going to replace you. And that's, I think, where the small business owner wins.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I like too the analogy you gave about education and being able to teach you in a way that is more applicable to how you think, that just resonates with you more. I read an example yesterday. It was on X, Twitter, and someone said, "Can someone explain this stock to me like I was a 5-year-old?" And it was so funny because the answer was written like it was coming, like they were explaining it to a 5-year-old. Like, AI Grok knew to explain it. And it was just so funny that I was like, oh my God, like it leveled itself down to like it was teaching a 5-year-old. And so, there are those use cases, or, we're, like you said, HR, is always a touchy subject. Most of us business owners, that's probably the least favorite part of our business, is having to deal with the HR
Certainly
stuff.
is for mine, yes.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, having to lay off an employee, a couple weeks ago, it hurts, but these things happen. But one of the things I was thinking of is, it helps you work with your employees. If if you're doing personality profiles, and you should be when you're hiring your employees, whether it's Myers-Briggs or the DISC profile or whatever it may be, Colby profiles, how best your employees, will work, and how they respond, and psychologically, emotionally. And so you can use AI for that. How would I talk to David over here, or how would I talk to Jonathan based on what you've input? You've input their personality profile, so now you know how to talk to them and not hurt feelings, or get better results out of them.
No, and 100%. And again, that I've always been a big fan of personality tests, because we've found that just understanding the personality of the people on your team, again, like you said, helped you communicate. Now imagine being able to go to ChatGPT and go, I need to have this difficult conversation with an employee. I'm an ENTP, they're an INSSJ. Help me figure out the best way to do this in a way that will resonate with them, that will also be accepted by them, and that they'll be open to. And ChatGPT knows so much about those personality profiles that it can create that outline and even the whole document for you if you want. So you can now go, oh, wow, if I said that, I can see that would actually make sense. You can go through that entire process. And again, we're talking seconds, not even minutes, to be able to do this nowadays.
It's amazing. It's, AI it's like having the brains of 1,000, 10,000 people giving you the best result collectively, what everyone would input, and then they condense it down to one result, and you get it, and you get it in like 10 seconds, 20 seconds. It's just amazing.
Yes.
Transformative, really transformative for a business owner, for really any application, I think.
No, and I agree with you entirely. Again, that's why I said it's going to change things in a manner that we can't even imagine right now, because we literally haven't been there before. So we don't know, it's like when again, the printing press came out, nobody understood what that was going to mean as far as knowledge being able to share and all that. They may have been able to envision some of it, but never to the extent that that's changed things. And again, I really believe AI is going to be that transformative to our society.
Yeah, I believe it too. I'm with you on that. I do lean a little toward the Skynet scenario, because I just heard. Yeah, I heard the other day that AI wouldn't shut down, like it was ordered to shut itself down or something, and it wouldn't shut itself down. And so you start going, wow, that could become a reality. But that's neither here nor there. As business owners, remodelers out there, builders, roofers, home improvement specialists, you don't have to worry about Skynet. Just get on board, adopt it as early as possible.
Yes.
Just get moving with it. Really is, I think, it's the moral of the story. If you, as we kind of wind down here, like you said, we could talk, I could talk with you on AI for hours. I love it. It's just so transformative. It's already transforming our business. But if as we wrap up our interview here, Jonathan, if there's any advice, one piece of advice, or a concept of how you can, advise business owners, remodelers, builders to really get involved in this, to adopt it, just to get on board, what would you tell them that would be most impactful for them?
Don't overcomplicate it. Simply find one thing each day that you can use AI to make your job easier, better, faster. One email that you need to write, one social media post, one proposal that you need to put together that you're not sure how to word a section on, one employee conversation that you need to have because they've showed up late for the 15th time or whatever. One thing a day. Just find one thing. There's plenty of that as a business owner to run into. And then if you do that over a series of 5 to 10 days, you're going to find that all of a sudden your brain's going to start getting rewired and thinking of all these other ways you can do it. And you're literally going to get home early one night and your spouse is going to look at you and go, "What's wrong?" You're going, "What do you mean?" "Well, you're home 2 hours early." How did that happen? It can be that monumental. Then start worrying about and start teaching your team how to do the same thing.
Right, right. I like it. That's great. One step at a time, baby steps. One of my favorite movies. What about Bob? Bill Murray. Baby steps, just one little step at a time, and eventually you're going to cover a lot of ground.
110%.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Jonathan, I really appreciate having you on today. If people want to reach out to you and get some help with AI consulting, advice, anything that you offer in terms of content services, marketing, how would they reach out to you, Jonathan?
Well, they can remember my name, Jonathan Mast, M-A-S-T. Go to jonathanmast.com. Or if they just remember the white beard part that we started out, where'd that name come from? And they search for white beard and AI, you're going to find me. And I've got tons of free resources. I've got some paid ones too, but tons of free stuff. If you're looking to get started, we want to help you get started on the right foot, and we want to help make AI simple for you and your team.
Love it. Love it. That sounds great. Well, Jonathan, thank you again for coming on. What a great episode. One of the most informative that we've had. So insightful, a lot of value. I really appreciate you coming on and laying down so much value. I hope a lot of people are picking up what you're laying down right now.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's been great.
Absolutely. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in today. I'm really glad to have you on the show. Hopefully you got some great value, and we'll look forward to you turning on and tuning in to our next episode next month. Take care, everyone. We'll talk to you later.
Hey, if you liked our podcast, join the remodeling community and hit subscribe. We would love to hear from you. So be sure to share your thoughts on what you might want to hear about in future episodes. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, visit homeremodelerSEO.com and check out our services that can help build your foundation for success. Thanks for tuning in to the Home Remodeler Toolbox Podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode.